knows there's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
Okay, there we go. Woo! Ooh, I'm rusty. It's been a minute. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to what must be the most significant thing going on right now, pretty much in the world. Pretty much, I can't imagine what you guys would want to be watching other than me. Yeah, okay. Fine. Pretty rude of them to schedule, a soccer game over my live stream, but okay. I called it soccer. That's true. Hopefully you guys will trickle on in after you're done celebrating the amazing win of Argentina over France in penalty kicks after a grueling 3-3 tie game. I don't really know a lot about soccer. That's what someone told me in the chat before the stream began. Welcome to the stream, everybody. It's very good to be back with you after 2 weekends where I didn't stream because I was busy. Every so often, someone asks me to come and work for them, and I say, I don't really like to do that. I'd rather be home streaming and making videos for the internet. and they say, please, we'd really like you to come work for us. And I say, fine. And then I name a preposterously large number, a preposterously large amount of money. And then if they don't say no, then I go, fuck. Because then I have to go do it. And, you know, so that's, you gotta do what you gotta do. But it's good to be back with you. It's good to be back with you. I was about to say football, because I have to say the world of FPV and the RC hobby in general has made me much more a sort of citizen of the globe than I used to be. You know, like I think in grams now, some of the time, because quadcopters are usually weighed in grams. Parts are often weighed in grams. I appreciate the benefit of millimeters and centimeters. Not the whole, oh, the metric system's so much better because it's divisible by 10 thing. Like, whatever. I mean, sure, just granted. But like just an inch is a pretty useful unit of measure. There are lots of things that are an inch long, you know, a couple inches, you know, but once you get below an inch, it gets really like a quarter inch, a half inch. It's really a little, And I have to say a millimeter is a pretty useful unit of measure for measuring small things. Way better than like an eighth or a 32nd of an inch. You know, I'd rather just say 3 millimeters, 5 millimeters. Just eyeball it. Centimeter, good unit of measure, a couple centimeters. Yeah, so, you know, I went through this little period where I set all my weather apps and all my thermostats in my house to Celsius because I was tired of seeing Celsius degrees and not knowing what they were. My wife still is annoyed at me about that. She'd say, is it cold out today? And I'd say, it's 12. And she'd say, it's 12 degrees? And I'd be like, Celsius. And she'd be like, oh. And roll her eyes at me. And, you know, when I talk, you know, I understand that a lot of you guys say football. That's fine. That's fine. I do think Celsius makes more sense. It really does. The whole, I'll say, you know, I recently learned, I was watching a video about the effect of winter on, you know, people who have to be outside. And the guy said that it's actually much worse for it to be in the range of just slightly above freezing all the way up to, geez, it's cold out, rather than being slightly below freezing to like 20 degrees Celsius below freezing is actually much better because you don't get wet. Everything stays frozen and stays dry and you don't get wet and you can actually do a lot more. The ground freezes. It's easier to move around. And I was telling her about that. And I said, you know, from about 3 degrees, you know, up to maybe, 15 degrees to 12 degrees is really bad. And she's like, I don't know what that means. I'm like, it's so above zero is above freezing. Below zero is below freezing. That's like, even if you don't like get Celsius, that's easy. Anyway. So that's what I've been up to. I'm going to be taking your questions. In case, oh, hang on. Oh, there I am. Welcome to the live stream. If you're new here, say hi in the chat. If this is your first time coming to one of my streams, let us greet you in the chat. I need a sound drop for that. I need Ken Heron to make me a bunch of sound drops, soundboards or whatever, right? Say hi in the chat. Tweak FPV, you're not new. Come on. Michael Sinefelter. Kleinfelter. Good to have you. Ooh, Banggood bankrupt? Art Shell. Is there a source for that story? Banggood bankrupt. Let's talk about that later in the stream. I gotta look it up. I don't know. I'll be taking your questions. I'll be reading your chats and taking your questions. So feel free to ask the questions. There will be a lot of these questions that I don't get to because the chat goes by so fast and furious. If you want to make sure I get to your question, hit the $ right down here at the bottom and leave a super chat. And that's a great way to contribute to the channel as well. I will read those super chats just a little later. And of course, we have to take a minute to say hello to these people, these beautiful people who have earned the entire right side of my screen. That's my Discord server, and they are my patrons. They are my patrons. If you want to join them, you can become a patron. I agree, Milford KD. Banggood has gone downhill. They used to have better prices than most everybody and shitty customer service. And now they have pretty much the same prices as everybody and shitty customer service. So the value proposition for Banggood has really changed. You know, I can also tell you just based on my, I'm an affiliate for all these guys and I know which affiliates people are using. I can tell you that the number of people using Banggood compared to the number of people, at least among my audience, the number of people using other stores that I'm affiliated with has gone down. Bang is nowhere near. Banggood used to be, oh man, there was a time when, according to my affiliate sales, so obviously that's not maybe skewed as to to the general audience, but according to my affiliate sales, there was a time when Banggood was twice as much. Well, that's unfair because that's unfair because Banggood had a higher percentage too than some of the American vendors. Banggood is like 8%, I think, is what my Banggood percent is, and it's lower for the American ones. But it's not anymore, is my point. A lot fewer people are shopping at Banggood. They're buying a lot less things. And even myself, I used to shop there when there was something there that I needed and it was the place to go. But nowadays, I'm usually shopping at one of the Get FPV, Race Day Quads, etc., etc., etc. So, well, we'll take a look. Are they bankrupt? I don't know. We'll have to take a look. All right. Let's start taking some questions though. Did you see the first Avatar VRX video has come online? At least people are getting them now. Rasmus Klatrup. I did, and I have to say I'm kind of annoyed. I'm a little annoyed. And I'm going to sound like a snob. I'm going to sound like a prima donna and a snob, so I should just not say it, right? My public relations person is saying, when you have the thought, if I say this, I'm going to come off like a snob, then the next thing to do is to not say the thing or just go right ahead. You just go right ahead? Okay. I'm going to sound like a snob, but I'm kind of annoyed that customers are getting their units before I did. Yeah, no, that's going to come back and bite me. It's going to make me look bad. Okay. Well, Elon Musk can fire all his public relations people, so I'll fire mine. You're fired. Get out of here. I'm going to speak my mind. You can't censor me. Only YouTube can censor me. I would love to have a video up about it. It always makes me wonder. When I don't get a product and they're shipping it to customers, why didn't they send it to me? It wasn't an accident. Last Friday, so 2 days ago, I asked my contact at Walksnail any update on the VRX, and she said, will be shipped this week. Does that mean, so hang on. Maybe I'm being a little too antsy. Thank you, Cranky Old Goat, for a $25 or $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Hang on one second. Auto feature chat messages as they come in. Is there a way to auto feature only chat messages that are super chats? Show only messages that, oh. Well, that just filters out all of them. Okay. Maybe maybe this. What if they shipped them all at the same time? And then people who live in Europe got them first. And mine's just taking a while to go through customs. Okay, maybe. But I haven't got it. I'm literally looking forward to it. That's the takeaway there. Why send them to reviewers if they'll sell out anyways? Yeah, good point. Don't know about that. Valerius, good to see you in the chat there, my friend. Let's make Valerius a moderator. Valerius, I'm going to make you a moderator just so your name shows up in blue. You're not obligated or expected to actually moderate chat messages. And if you abuse your powers as a moderator, I'm going to take it away. But let's make Valerius a moderator. Valerius, person I know from Ukraine. Valerius actually isn't from Ukraine. Where's he from? I'm going to blank. Good to have you in the chat, sir. Let's see here. Craig Roth wants to know. Is it true that indoor flights are unregulated by the FAA? Yes. The FAA regulates the national airspace. The national airspace explicitly does not include enclosed indoor type areas. In fact, if you are outdoors under like a gazebo roof, that is not in the national airspace. If you're at some big outdoor riding ring that's completely covered, if you're in an arena, let's say you're in a sports arena with a closable roof. You know how some sports arenas can close the roof if the weather's bad? Then if the roof is closed, you're not in the national airspace. If the roof is open, you're in the national airspace. If you have a net, even just a netting, even the most perfunctory of barriers takes you out of the national airspace. It's only when you're flying in the national airspace that the FAA has jurisdiction. Therefore, if you're doing a tiny whoop flight indoors, you do not need a Part 107. You can do whatever the hell you want with that footage. Yep. 100%. Craig Roth, you are correct. Wait a minute. If Banggood is bankrupt, and I'm not saying that it is, we're just saying we heard Pavel Spikowski apparently shared a rumor about that, then I need to do an affiliate withdrawal. I don't know how much of my money they're holding. I may be screwed. Let's look into that. So I just did a search for Banggood bankrupt. GearBest parent company files for bankruptcy. Let's see here. GearBest's parent company appears to be in serious financial troubles, with bankruptcy review documents filed in Guangdong Court for Global Top E-Commerce Ltd. After several years of losses. GearBest is one of the most popular on-site websites, blah, blah, blah. At the time, it was all fun and games with a growth strategy, meaning they'd send products to anyone with a platform. But eventually, samples dried out as the company switched to focus on profitability, as all companies must do eventually. Google started promoting YouTube reviews rather than written reviews, and a new law in Thailand. What? Thailand doesn't really affect me. Basically stopped linking to GearBest. I didn't know GearBest and Banggood were the same company. Is that true? Let's see here. Is it the same company? GearBest, this seems to be the original article. Bankruptcy review. Is this definitely the company that owns Banggood? I mean, that's the thing that I think I'm still not certain about. I mean, it's plausible. Where's the tie to Banggood? My frickin' shortcuts aren't working on my mouse. The end of GearBest. The website. Wait, what's the date on this? 2021. That's old. Well, I don't know. I do have to say, and I mean this, I mean no disrespect, that Pavel Spikowski has and I'm guilty of this too, but Pavel Spikowski has been guilty of sort of saying the sky is falling before, and it doesn't always pan out. So I guess what I'm saying is just because he intimated it as a rumor doesn't mean that it's necessarily happening exactly like that. Anyway, I think we don't have a lot of information about that, so there we go. The GearBest news is from 2021. Well, then what the hell is Pavel talking about? Wait, that's the wrong window. Here we go. You guys can, when I bring up, I should always bring up an incognito window if I want to actually, you guys can see what I've been up to, what I've been reading about. This is actually a really good cross-section of my recent YouTube activity. A surprisingly good cross-section. Reading about pizza making, watching The Spiffing Brit, listening to Perun do analysis of the Ukraine war, CoffeeZilla talking about crypto scams, studying about how to do YouTube better with channel makers, and watching Swifter play Modern Warfare 2. That's actually like a perfect cross-section of my YouTube activity lately. Oh, here we go. Banggood might go bankrupt. Yep. Corridor Crew, very nice. I don't know. F this. Not interested. Video Game Donkey, yes. Charles Cornell, going to do some piano music. Let's see. Mark Rober, yeah. Oh, James Hoffman. Wait, who is Hames Joffman? He's changed the name of his... James Hoffman talking about coffee. I'm currently not... and I'm very annoyed about this, but I'm currently in like the 3rd week of not drinking caffeine. So I'm not having coffee. I miss you, James. MSNBC, don't need to... Hang on. Not interested. MSNBC, not interested. NBC News. Can I just, like, not interested all of the news channels? Ooh. Okay. Let's see what Pavel has to say.
The news about Banggood is, please do remember that this is absolutely unofficial news that I got from someone who got it from someone from China. The Banggood itself is on the verge of going under. The Banggood is just losing too much money and the money in the bank account are going out, and it is actually very, 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 very possible that Banggood might go bankrupt soon. Why I'm not surprised? Because since the COVID, and actually not only the COVID, but the middle of the 2021, when the European Union started to add the VAT on every package from China, the sales from Banggood just dropped, and I know that people basically stopped buying from China and from Banggood especially. This is a rumor I heard from someone who heard from someone from China.
I don't know why people say we look alike. I'm much more handsome. I'm much more handsome. Look at this chin. Okay, we kind of do look alike. Hang on. That's actually really shocking. Okay, we have to go now. Okay, so it's just a rumor. I find the rumor to be plausible. But just a rumor. Let's see here. Do you need to waterproof Vista units? Asks Peter Schmidt in the Discord. No, you don't. The DJI Air unit, etc., Vista, etc., in my experience, are incredibly well weatherproofed, and you will probably be more likely to damage it by opening it up, removing all the thermal paste and all that nonsense. You will probably be more likely to damage it in your attempt to waterproof it than if you just flew it as delivered and in wet conditions. I know multiple examples of where quads have been crashed in the water, left in the water for like an extended time, sometimes as much as overnight, and the air unit was fine the next day when it dried out. I don't know what DJI does to waterproof their stuff, but my experience is that they are as or more water resistant from the factory than most anything I've seen a hobbyist do at home. Don't worry about it, is my official opinion. That's not a 100% guarantee that if you crash it, especially salt water, is going to mess everything up. So this is fresh water we're talking about. I don't think there's a lot you can do about salt water other than just encase something in epoxy so the water doesn't touch it. But you don't need to do additional waterproofing on certainly the Vista, the Air unit, and so on. I don't know about the O3. It's too new. I would assume that DJI has done similar things to the O3 that they did to the Vista and the other Air unit, but I don't know. It's too new to have data about that. Guest G Beast R. Good question. G Beast asks, is there any way to have DisplayPort out through the Walk-Snail goggles? G-Beast, I every time in my life when I have needed a DisplayPort input and I only had an HDMI out, just correct me if I'm wrong, but DisplayPort and HDMI are essentially completely interchangeable with a simple adapter. Like I'm sure that there are technical differences between them, but I've never seen a case where I couldn't just get a simple USB-C DisplayPort adapter and use it. So like, for example, here's a USB-C to DisplayPort cable. I would bet you that this will work with the Walk-Snail goggles. I don't think the goggles care whether you're outputting HDMI or DisplayPort. Now, I can't promise you that. But if you want to be really, really sure, like if you had an HDMI to DisplayPort adapter, like I'd be very confident that something like this would work, right? So you have a USB-C to HDMI and then an HDMI to DisplayPort adapter. But I'd be pretty confident that this USB-C to DisplayPort cable would also work. Yeah, DisplayPort is a different physical interface and a different pin layout, but I think that the protocol is the same. And they may not have the same capabilities because there's like different versions of DisplayPort, different versions of HDMI with different throughput and resolution capabilities. But the interface, I think, is completely compatible. GB Star says, I own that cable. I'm testing it now and it doesn't work. Okay. Then I would find a USB-C to HDMI cable that definitely does work and then get an HDMI to DisplayPort adapter. I don't understand why that wouldn't work. HDMI out cannot become DisplayPort. I know for a fact that I've done that. Do I? My graphics card has like one HDMI and 3 DisplayPorts. I know I've done... No. I know I've done DisplayPort to HDMI because I just didn't have DisplayPort cables and I used the adapter. Is it true that HDMI cannot become DisplayPort? I'm skeptical about that. I thought you could go both ways with a simple adapter. I know for a fact that I've done DisplayPort to HDMI, but I guess I'm not 100% sure I can't go the other way. Okay. That would be my guess. Let's take a second and read some super chats. We got a couple more super chats that have come in. Caleb Griffey? Thank you for a $10 super chat. Caleb, fake prop noise from the transmitter throttle. Any thoughts? Could this be done with OpenTX? It could be done. You would need, so you couldn't do it simply by playing a wave file. Unless you had one wave file for different throttle positions. But that wouldn't be what you want. So you would need to code OpenTX to output a sound based on the throttle position. That could absolutely be done. But you'd have to write code. You couldn't just do it, stock, like with stock OpenTX out of the box. Prime RC, thanks for $5 Australian dollars. Appreciate your help with the question. Thank you, Prime RC, for the donation. Louis Arias, thank you for a $5 super chat. Doing first 5-inch build, and I need an ExpressLRS module and receiver. Is it worth waiting for the Ranger and putting the build on hold, or is there another option? Yeah, so I got to get the Ranger added to my website. My website is, so I would say go to my website, fpvknowitall.com. Here in the controllers and receivers section, I've got an ExpressLRS section, and it's got the suggested modules. Now, some of you will notice that the Radiomaster Ranger isn't on there. And that's because the website is a little on pause right now because we're doing a major cosmetic upgrade. I'm going to show it to you, and you're going to be totally, I don't know if you're going to be underwhelmed. Now I'm self-conscious about it. I'm going to, I probably shouldn't show that URL. Well, too late. I guess there's no harm in showing the URL. It's not like you can do anything with the staging site. This is the staging site, and this is what we're doing to my website. Looks the same, doesn't it? I know. What we're doing is, oh, look at that. Doesn't that look so much better? I think it does. The web team put a lot. I didn't do all this by hand, I assure you. The guys who manage my website put a lot of work converting the whole site over to this new format. Excuse me. But what this means is that edits to the website are on hold while we're working through this update. And then when we roll this out, we'll continue the edits. So I will be adding the Radiomaster Ranger to the site, but it won't be added until we finish. There's a lot of checking and so forth before we roll this out. But I don't know if I would wait for the Radiomaster Ranger. Probably what I would do is you could get the Happy model, and the Happy model ES24TX is quite good. I mean, the Ranger is good too. The Ranger is currently one of my favorites. Just excuse me for the sniffling. It's going to piss some people off. Ghost Branch FPV says, DisplayPort has all the capabilities of HDMI and more. Therefore, to go from DisplayPort to HDMI, you only need an adapter. But the other way around, you need a converter. Just the cable won't work. Okay, so what we need is a DisplayPort. We need an HDMI to DisplayPort adapter like this, right? I mean, this is what the guy wants. Oh, I see. Upgraded chip solution. Okay, so Prime, I think who was that? Prime RC. This is what you need. You need the come on. You need something like this. DisplayPort to HDMI adapter. Wait. No. Wait, is it? Oh, hang on. That's DisplayPort out to HDMI out, isn't it? Yes. Okay, hang on. We need an HDMI to DisplayPort adapter. Damn. Is that this one? No. Is this unidirectional? DisplayPort host. No, I need... Oh, this is a more complicated question. I see. Active 4K HDMI to DisplayPort converter adapter. HDMI source to display. There you go. Okay, this is what you need. Except this one only supports 4K 30, so I don't know what it's going to do with, 720p 100. I might buy this one just to be safe. 4K 120. I don't know, but this is the project you want. Okay, HDMI in to DisplayPort out. Abraham, you may be correct that this will introduce unacceptable latency. Okay, thank you guys. That's a more complicated question than I at first anticipated. So Lewis, to finish out your question, the Happy Model Pro would be my pick if you don't want to wait for the Ranger. The Happy Model Pro has been my go-to for quite a while when I'm not using the internal module on my radio. Cody D, thank you for a $10 super chat. For a complete noob, would you recommend a radio like the Boxer to practice in a sim, or a Tiny Whoop kit where I could get all I need and still prescribe in the sim and fly? Still practice in the sim and fly. Cody, whether you buy a radio like the Boxer, to me, depends on how confident you are that you're going to want to get into the hobby. If you feel relatively confident that you're going to want to be in the hobby, go ahead and buy a radio in the $80 to $150 range. Now, that might be the Boxer. You can see from my review of the Boxer, I was pretty impressed with it. In fact, I just ordered AG01 gimbals for it, which suggests that I might be using it. So it suggests that I'm a little more serious when I say, could this become my daily driver, than just like a YouTuber who gets like, oh, would this be my daily driver? And then the answer is always no, and they just said that to get clicks. I just spent $130 of my own money on AG01 gimbals and another $20 for stick ends. So I'm at least going to give it a fair shot. If you're confident you're going to be in the hobby, you're better off getting a good controller and using it in the sim than using the cheap, shitty controller that comes with a bind and fly kit, which you will outgrow quickly. You can always sell it if you don't want it and make some of your money back. But, yeah. On the other hand, if you're not sure that you're going to like FPV, then get the Tiny Whoop kit and use the controller in that one. Although not all of them can be used in the simulator, so bear that in mind. Dmitry Kalinin. Let's see if we've caught up here. Dmitry Kalinin asks, is it possible to plug an older camera into the O3? It is not. It is not possible to plug an older camera into the O3 air unit for two reasons. Number one, the physical plug is different. It's not compatible. And number two, well, I guess I don't know for sure number two because no one can plug the camera in. But number two, like the firmware, when the Runcam Wasp came out, we needed a firmware update for the Vista to support the camera. The cameras need to be supported by the air unit. And so even if you had a physical interface that would connect, I don't think the air unit would like recognize and talk to the camera because it hasn't been told to do that. So I would say, no, that's not possible. Magnus FPV. Magnus asks, TBS Tracer Micro won't bind to TBS Crossfire Nano. Why? Because you need a tracer receiver, not a crossfire receiver. Tracer binds to tracer, crossfire binds to crossfire. It's just it's just one of those things that like somehow you didn't get that message, and you know like yeah, I heard an episode of a radio show a long time ago. I think it was This American Life, and the focus of the show was people who had gotten to be adults and had like missed some little piece of information that everybody else knew. And then how they came to realize that. One of the people was a grown-ass adult and didn't realize that unicorns were not a real animal. Which at first you're like, well, of course, unicorns don't exist. But, like, have you ever personally seen a giraffe? Well, maybe you have, right? But you can see my point. There's lots of animals, weird effing animals out there that we all just take for granted exist. No, and we haven't seen them. It's just everybody thinks they exist and talks about them. So this person thought unicorns were a real animal. They just got to be an adult, and one day they realized unicorns. They were like, hey, we're going to go to the zoo. Maybe we'll see a unicorn. And everybody was like, what do you mean? And they were like, oh. The only other story I remember from that show was a person who thought that, you see the sign like deer crossing and it's spelled Xing, and they assumed that was pronounced xing and was its own word. Didn't know that. Oh, I can think of one more from my own life. I'm not going to say who this was. I knew a person. I know a person. You know how Hanukkah can be spelled H-A-N and it can be spelled C-H-A-N. And it's because you're transliterating a foreign language into it doesn't use the English alphabet, so there's different ways of transliterating it. But it's the same word. The word is Hanukkah. This person thought that Hanukkah with an H was the Jewish holiday, and CH, Hanukkah spelled with a CH, was referring to both Christmas and Hanukkah together, the sort of December Judeo-Christian holidays, and was a grown-ass adult before someone was like, no, those are the same word. So we all have little blind spots in our knowledge, and nobody should feel dumb because that happens. And today, the little blind spot in your knowledge is that crossfire binds to crossfire, and tracer binds to tracer, and they don't go back and forth. Sidian, good question. Sidian asks, JB, I can see that in your updated Perfect Drone video, you use the Blitz E45S ESC. It's about half the price of the E55. The main difference is that it uses a BB21 MCU and the E55 uses a G071 MCU. What is the MCU and what are the differences between them? So, Sidian, the differences between those two ESCs is that one of them runs BL-Heli S firmware and one runs BL-Heli 32 firmware. BL-Heli 32 is a newer, more sort of sophisticated firmware that also needs a faster MCU to run. The MCU is the microprocessor of the ESC. It's the brains of the ESC. It's like the CPU in your computer, except it's a microprocessor. Where's the line between a CPU and an MCU is a topic for somebody else to debate. It's just a very small, inexpensive, less powerful microprocessor that runs the ESC. From a practical perspective, BL-Heli S and BL-Heli 32 can both produce excellent results. There is no reason to assume for most people that you must have a BL-Heli 32 ESC in order to get a good flying quad. However, BL-Heli 32 does have the capability to adjust certain parameters that BL-Heli S does not, because it's running on a faster MCU and it can just do more. The main one that comes to my mind is the PWM frequency. It can adjust the PWM frequency of the motors to any value, and it can adjust it in real time while you're flying if it needs to, if you think that would be beneficial. It sometimes is, and it sometimes isn't. It's not a must-have feature. I bought the BL-Heli S ESC by accident because I was shopping for price, and I just was like, oh, this one's cheaper, I'll buy it. And I actually didn't realize it was BL-Heli S. When I realized my mistake, I just was like, okay, well, fine. That's fine. And I just get on with my life. So, hopefully that answers your question. KY Savage, Kentucky Savage, thank you for a $10 super chat. I don't see a question from you, so let's just double check that you didn't leave it in the chat. Is a Vista dead when it powers on, shows video, and the light on the side goes off as well as the video in the goggles? It sure isn't a good sign. That's not a good sign. Here's what I would do, Kentucky Savage, if that was me. The first thing I would do is make sure that it's getting at least 7 volts. if you have like somehow wired it up to a 5-volt regulator, or if somehow the voltage regulator that it's hooked up to is dying, that would certainly explain this. Okay, make sure it's got a stable power supply. Test it with a multimeter. Wire it up to VBAT directly, assuming you're using no higher than 6S voltage. The Vista can take VBAT directly. But make sure it's got a solid power supply, and that's not the issue. It is relatively hard to kill a Vista. Not impossible, but relatively hard. The other thing I would say is, if you just flashed it, or you were trying to root it, or you were dicking around with it in that general way, and then it started doing this, you can restore. You probably screwed up the flash somehow. And what you want is a wonderful thing that just came out called FPV-WTF Butter, which is a tool that can reflash firmware to a Vista, Air Unit, or DJI goggles in sort of like emergency mode. And it's a way of recovering them if you have accidentally bricked them. And I will put that link in the chat for you. So that's my thoughts about that. Letilick, thank you for 69 RSD. 69. Let's just double check if you left a question. I don't see a question. Nope, just a 69 RSD. Thank you so much for the donation. Kilo Foxtrot, thank you for a $5 super chat. Crazy BF4 SX1280 flight controller keeps booting up in pit mode. Pit mode is not on in the modes tab. Pit is disabled and saved in the VTX settings. How do I fix it? Kilo Foxtrot. Can I get my face back? Kilo Foxtrot. Usually what is cause, I see Brandon Beans has already answered this question, but I'll go ahead and answer it for the sake of the stream and as, you know, an acknowledgement of your super chat. Let's see here. Oh, hang on. I can't. First of all, you can't see what I'm doing. Second of all, I have to enable. Okay. So here in the video transmitter tab, if you have the power levels set wrong, then your VTX will lock itself at its lowest possible output power. So the power levels, and actually, I'm sorry, I apologize. I made a mistake here. I'm clicking on the labels. The labels don't matter at all. The labels can be anything you want. It could be anything you want. Doesn't matter. But the power values have to be correct. And if the power values are incorrect, then the VTX will lock itself at its lowest possible output power. Sometimes that's 25 milliwatts. Sometimes that's pit mode. If you've got a VTX that is doing that, most likely you've got the wrong VTX table loaded up. And the solution is to find and load the correct VTX table. Marcel. Marcel, thank you for a $2 super chat. Please blow your nose. Marcel, appreciate the super chat. I'm going to prove a point here, Marcel. I'm going to mute my mic and I'm going to blow my nose. And then you're going to see that in 2 minutes, the state of my sinuses will be identical to the state that they are now. Sometimes I'm just a little congested. That's just me. And that's how the whole rest of the stream is going to be. And there's not a lot I can do about that. So I don't want to dwell on it. It just is what it is. And we're going to continue the stream. But thank you for your $2 super chat. Here we go. Are we ready? Okay, here we go. Start the timer. Phantom FPV, good to see you, my friend. All right. I will not be taking any more questions or messages about the state of my sinuses. That's just it. I don't want to, that's just silly. You know, if it bothers you, I understand that. If it makes you stop watching the stream, I understand that. It just is how it is. And we're just going to continue the stream. Phantom says unicorns are real. Shit. Oh, no. I don't want to get into an argument with Phantom about this. What's your position on Santa Claus? I understand that, like, some people really just can't stand sipping noises. Some people can't stand chewing noises. Some people can't stand the sound of somebody with a snotty nose. You gotta just do what you gotta do about that. I assure you, I am taking all the appropriate steps to deal with my own sort of health situation. Yeah. Marvin Rainwater, thank you for a $5 super chat. Let's just see if Marvin left any other comments. I don't see a comment from Marvin Rainwater. I crashed. When I power up, I get the ESC tones, but no flight controller tones, and the Vista won't power up. Flight controller shows in beta flight and looks normal. Could I have cooked and shorted the back when I crashed? Yes, that's possible. Marvin Rainwater, the first thing I would want to check is just whether the flight controller came disconnected from the ESC and is not powering up. The chances of both the 5-volt and the 9-volt regulator dying seem low to me. So assuming the Vista is running on a 9-volt regulator, I would expect it to keep running. The flight controller not powering up could mean the 5-volt regulator died. That's a fairly common thing. And plugging into USB powers it up. So that would be, the fact that it works from USB would be consistent with a dead 5-volt regulator. Magnus FPV. Did he re-ask his question? Or did I just... Magnus FPV. Magnus, I answered your question. I read your super chat and I answered your question. Oh, I see. I see. Those are old messages. Sorry, Magnus. I apologize. For a minute, it looked to me like you were continuing to repeat the question after I answered it. I apologize. I scrolled back too far in the chat. Take it all back. I got a question here from Irazvan, who asks, how do you get megabit per second and delay on the DJI V2 goggles? The DJI V2 goggles show megabit per second and delay by default. I don't understand. With the O3 Air unit? I don't even understand your question. Okay. Maybe you'll clarify. You're certainly... yeah, maybe you'll clarify. Paul Stevenson III. Ooh. Paul Stevenson III says, JB, man, I learned so much from you the last few days. When my dumb self couldn't get his first FPV, a GEP-RC Mark V 03 bind and fly to bind with a tiny radio ELRS from GEP-RC. Did you get it working, Paul? I hope you got it working, man. Colorbox Studio, thank you for 10 Polish Sloty. Is that how you say that? Sounds a little bit. Happy Christmas for you and all in the FPV community. Thank you so much, Colorbox. Appreciate the donation. Edward, thank you for €2. Best analog goggle with HDMI input under 300 USD. Okay, chat. Best analog goggle with HDMI input under 300 USD. Hold on, I have an idea. We can start a Q&A. No, I don't think that does what I think it does. Let's just ask in the chat. Tell me in the chat. I have an answer in mind. I'm going to write my answer down on this piece of paper that I'm imagining exists. And then I'll tell you the answer. Best analog goggle with HDMI input under 300 USD. SkyZone 04L isn't under 300 USD. I just had to double check. It's also sold out everywhere. Oh no, SkyZone Sky 04L is in stock at Race Day Quads, but it is $400, not $300. So that's a no. A second-hand HDO. That's actually a really good answer. Whenever I'm looking for whenever I'm looking for used gear, I look on fpvexchange.com. Let's search for the HDO FPV goggles. What do we got? $300 like new from Eric Allen FPV. This is a really good answer. $275 in good condition, Somerville, South Carolina. I have to say, Edward, this is if you're willing to take the risk of buying used, which not everybody wants to take that risk. If you're willing to take the risk of buying used, then this is a pretty good deal. Now, this doesn't... Oh, but this isn't going to come with a module, is it? Does it come with a module? Come on. How do I get to this listing? How do I, like, zoom in on this listing? Last updated a year ago. That listing doesn't seem current. That listing seems out of date. I'm skeptical. Well, my answer is the, and I saw this in the chat. A lot of people in the chat said this as well. My answer is the SkyZone Cobra X V2. It's a box goggle, but it does get you down below that $300 price point. If you're intending to use this with the walk snail receiver, bear in mind it'll only do 60 FPS, but do we know for a fact that the walk snail receiver outputs 100 FPS? I think we all assume that it does. Anyway, we don't know. I'm not sure about that. Ghost Branch FPV, thank you for that. Going back to the question about how do you get latency to show up in the goggles, if you're talking about the goggles 2, then latency doesn't show up, and there isn't any way to make it show up, I don't think. In fact, the Cobra X V2, how is that new analog module working out on them? How's that working out? Anybody tested that? Is it, did they finally really fix the problems with their analog module for real? What firmware is everyone on now with the V2 DJI goggles? DJI goggles. I know everybody says DJI. Everybody's annoyed about that. I've left mine alone for a while, just curious if there's a newer, better version. I mean, C. Young, as far as the goggles go, the only warning I would give you is if you intend to root them, you should root them before you do a firmware update. This warning is not as dire as it once was, because now there is a tool out there that can roll them back if you updated them. That tool is called FPV WTF Butter, and it can roll them back. The main reason you would need to update your firmware, I think most people are still running on the 0606 firmware, though, if they're running Vistas and so forth. Thank you so much, SR. SR says, JB, I just signed in as a patron. New to FPV, 30 hours in the sim. Just wanted to thank you for all your videos and articles. So extremely helpful. You are a legend. A legend! I'm going to assume that you're saying that with an Aussie or a Kiwi accent. Because that's because that's what Stu used to say. He probably still does, but he used to. A legend. Well, I don't know about that, but okay if you say so. In fact, now is a perfect time to take a moment and just do a little plug for the sponsor of today's video. And the sponsor of today's video is you. Well, maybe you. I don't do hardly any sponsored video, sponsors, ad reads or any of that nonsense. Every so often, Raid Shadow Legends offers me too much money, and I do a Raid Shadow Legends live stream. But today's not that day. The best way that you can support the content that I'm doing here is to join my Patreon, patreon.com. There's a link in the video description below all of my videos, and I'll throw you a link right there real quick. You can join for as little as $2 a month, or more if you feel like I've earned it. Just pick an amount that you think is proportional to the amount of value that you get out of my content, whatever you think is fair. And sign up. Ooh, the $200 a month sold out. Wow. Some people feel like they get a lot of value out of my content. How about that? Thank you. Patrons get access to my Discord server, so you can hang out with these beautiful people over here on the right side of the screen. Hey, don't be zoomed in. My Discord server just got a big upgrade from Discord. Discord added the ability to do forums. So now we have a troubleshooting forum. Maybe we'll answer some questions in the troubleshooting forum here live on the stream. We got troubleshooting forums. We've got a buy sell trade forum. Just a good old time to hang out with people, talk FPV, and get help with your problems, which is one of the benefits. Mostly, though, you get to just feel good that you're, supporting me, hopefully. And maybe today's the day. If today's not the day, that's fine. No big deal. I'm like a busker on the subway. I just play the music. You hear the music. If you like the music, you throw a couple bucks in. Let's do another plug real quick. It's at the top of the hour. That's when you're supposed to do plugs, right? SearchFPV.com. Are you tired of not being able to find where things are in and out of stock? Well, SearchFPV.com is a multi-store search engine. Can I select all? There we go. It is a multi-store FPV search engine that searches a whole bunch of different stores for whatever product you're looking for. And one of the best things about it is you can search for in-stock items only. I'm going to buy a DJI O3 Air unit. Who's got it? Who's got it in stock? Yep, the web monkeys have written custom code to parse the product listings for all of the stores to figure out whether the product is in stock or not. They check the store every so often, several times a day, and then they can tell you who's got what and what the price is. Normally loads quicker than this. Somewhere out there, the IRIX ears are burning. Oh, cool! It didn't work. Is it because we're in an incognito window? Wow. That's disappointing. Let's try it not in an incognito window. I don't know why that would matter. There's probably been a new store added that's messing things up. Come on. Okay. This always happens. I try to demonstrate it on a live stream and I find a bug. Oh well. Well, it's still in beta. Or whatever. No, it's not working. IRIC! I broke it! What if we search only the USA? Just try not. Maybe it's one of these stores is messing it up. Oh, yeah, there you go. It worked. One of these stores is messing it up. Yeah, so you see the results? You see whether it's in stock and out of stock? There you go. So check that out. Yep. Bitterroot FPV says, my old lady just found out narwhal are real last night. Speaking of unicorns. Exactly. Continuing on with these super chats. We've got a ton of super chats, so I'm going to really focus on getting caught up on them. Ocean Goat wants to know. Ocean Goat? Is that right? Ocean Goat, thank you for a $10 super chat. Do you think any company is on track to provide an affordable remote ID module before September 2023? I will say yes to that. Whether it will be FAA approved, I don't know. So maybe the answer is no then. The big unknown is whether the FAA will approve it. And that is just, you don't know until you try to submit it and approve it. So I think it absolutely is possible to do that. Does that make sense? Mo FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Please help. Reflashed Betaflight 4.x to my Flywoo LR4, the factory CLI dump, but I have no OSD and Betaflight's not initializing in my goggles. I'm on analog. Mo, usually the no OSD is caused by a couple of things. Whoops, wrong screen, sorry. There we go. So Mo, the first thing I would check is go to the OSD tab and look up here in the upper right. Do you see Auto, PAL, and NTSC? Okay. Assuming that you see that, change it to PAL, save, power cycle the whole quad, unplug USB and everything, and see if that fixed it. And if that didn't work, try NTSC. Unplug the whole quad, power cycle, and see if that fixes it. Now, if you don't see those options, then we got to go to the CLI. And the option that you're looking for, I'll zoom in on it so you can read it a little better, is OSD _ DisplayPort _ device. And that should be set to auto for an analog quad. Or it could be set to max 7456 is the correct value. If that is set to MSP, then what that means is that you accidentally loaded the config for the DJI version of the quad, not the analog version. And if that is set to MSP, then in the OSD tab, you will not have the Auto, PAL, and NTSC options. You may not, depending on what version of Betaflight you're on. So those are the two things I would check if you don't have OSD on an analog quad after loading the factory config dump. Chris Mirasola, thank you for what you do. Fixed a lot of my problems. Never miss an episode. Hooah! Thank you, Chris, for the donation. $10 donation. Big donation. Really appreciate it. Drone Poison. Thank you for a $5 donation. Got you in my last video drop, so here's $5. Well, let's go check out your video, Drone Poison. Is it going to get me demonetized? Let's see what Drone Poison got me in his last video. GRL Bardwell. I'm in the video. I'm going to mute it in case... Bardwell said, what? I'm going to mute it in case there's music, because I don't want to get, like, freaking struck and demonetized. What's the Bardwell tie-in?
See if there's... Oh, there's one right there, 25.
No music.
Ooh, boom, that's the one.
Looking for the charged pack. I know that feel.
Hey, Joshua Bardwell.
Hey, that's me.
Don't you put that juju on me about last batteries, homeboy.
Hey, that ain't me. That's just physics.
I'm gonna break that curse.
Let's find it. You're gonna break your quadcopter.
All right, ready?
All right, I gotta mute it because there's music. Let's check it out. All right, last pack. Last pack. I like the location. Ooh, lots of energy coming off the gate. Here. We're going to, oh, power loop. No hesitation. Oh, double roll. Everybody does the little flourish rolls. Double roll. Okay, okay. Keeping it busy. Oh, miss. Miss. I mean, okay, nobody's got 100%, but I'm calling miss when I see one. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, little rewind there. Very nice. Did not see that coming. Always like to be surprised. I see left and right rolls. Nice. All right, all right. I'm getting a little tired of the rolls. Space them out a little. Tease me, tease me. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Oh, yeah, drop in there. Very nice. Oh, see? Now here's the question. Was that going to be a power loop and he muffed it and turned it into a Matty? Or did he intend to set up the Matty? Doesn't matter. Looked awesome. Don't care. I don't care if you flub a move as long as you fool me into thinking you were trying to set something up awesome. Oh, very nice. Little sideways entry. I don't know what you call that. Very nice. I love that. I wish I did that more. I love the roll 180 Matty through a gap. That's a great move. That's one of my favorites, and I never do it. I'm putting that in the rotation. Is he going under? He went under. Zoop, 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 zoop. Nice. Your rates look really interesting. It feels like for the way your quad sort of accelerates into some of these full stick moves. Very nice. Oh, it looked like you were setting up a trippy spin there. That wants to be a trippy spin, doesn't it? You know it wants to be a trippy spin. Make it so. It wants to be it. That's how you would enter a trippy spin for sure. Oh, there it is. Last pack. The curse of the last pack. Nope, he's still up. Oh, what a gorgeous terrain. I mean, I wouldn't want to... It's got to mess up your motors when you go down in that nonsense. Wait, what was that last move? What was that last move? Let me see it again. What was it? Oh, that was really interesting. That was not a one... That was a 180... Was that like a 270 roll? Hang on. Let's frame by frame this. Was it a 270 roll? He comes in. He's aimed to the left. I got to slow it down. Let's do a quarter speed. It's a 270 roll, 360 pitch. Wow. That's actually pretty badass. So I've seen a move. Tidwell does it. Jonathan Tidwell does it. I don't know if you guys know him. He does a move where he'll do 90 degrees, knife edge through a gap with a 180 pitch to look back through the gap. And he calls it the Tidwell flip. This is kind of like that, but it's 270 in. It's a 270 roll and then a 360 pitch. That's pretty badass. I kind of like that. Let's see if is that right? 270, 360. Wow. Or is that... Yeah, that's badass. That's a really good... Phantom, you see this? That's the kind of move Phantom FPV would want to pull. It feels like one of his moves. Hurricane flip. Is that a hurricane flip, Phantom? Is that what you call that? Oh, nice car. Don't hit that car, baby. I know Phantom's got a move similar to that he likes to do. Is that actually the hurricane flip? I can't keep them all straight. I would just say, roll 270, pitch 360 through a gap. I don't think they all need an individual name. It drives me crazy having to remember all the stupid names. Sorry, Phantom. I know you love putting names. We just talked about why you put names on things. I agree with you in principle, but personally I find it annoying. Does that make sense? Nice. This is a good rip. Oh, see, you keep coming up short on those power loops. I mean, you didn't ask me to critique your flight, but the one thing I see is that you keep coming up short on those power loops, unless you're doing that on purpose. It keeps feeling like you went for a power loop, you came up short, and then you stay in that power loop a little. Pitch back harder. Just keep it tighter. That's the only thing I would say. Good rip. Thank you for the donation. And you did not kill on your last pack. So there you go. Jason Aviator. Do you know if any of the US-based resellers have started shipping the DJI goggles too? No, Jason. My understanding is that's not going to happen until like the January timeframe. I don't know that. That's not like a promise. That's just what I'm hearing from people. But that's my understanding at this time. There's one store, like out of New York, that was pulling apart combos that came with, no, that was for the, I'm sorry. Was that the, were they pulling apart Avada? I think there was one store that was pulling apart Avada combos and selling the goggles and the controller separately. But other than that, I don't think anybody has them. Sakaris FPV. Merry Christmas. I have two questions. How can I have my goggles V2 video out working through the Fly app with iPhone? I don't think you can. Am I guys? I don't have an iPhone, so I just have to take this stuff vicariously. Do the goggles V2 work with the DJI Fly app on iPhone? Under what conditions? And then, did he mean to say the goggles too? I think I think basically either it works or it doesn't work, is the bottom line. Oh, geez. Sakaris, that's a $25 super chat. I feel like I really ought to do more for you. Peter Schmidt says, yes, it works. The V2 goggles with the iPhone Fly app. Peter, is that with both the Vista and the O3? For $25 super chat, we can spend a few more minutes trying to hash this out with the chat. Both Vista and O3. So, Peter, why does it work with the goggles 2? I thought I heard that the goggles 2 didn't work with the iPhone app yet. You get device not recognized or something. So, Sakaris, we have one confirmation that it should work. And if it's not working, maybe you have a problem with like your USB cable or something. Fancy Flinch says the 1.9 version of the Fly app works with both the V2 and the O3 on iPad. Mike Cotees reminds us that if you have rooted the V2 goggles, they don't break the Fly app, though. They break the smart controller output, don't they? And the smart controller output is different from the Fly app, isn't it? I think it is. I'm not sure about that. If you have rooted the goggles and installed the MSPOSD module, try booting the goggles, holding down the bind button to bypass that. Peter Schmidt, I did get the email about Cosmo Streamer. Thank you for passing that along. Fancy Finch says, my V2 are rooted and work with the Fly app. Cody D, I don't know when the Radio Master Boxer will ship from Radio Master. I don't have that information. Got another question from Sakaris. What AIO can I use on a Synolog 2.5 for the O3 Air unit? Sakaris, any AIO that is designed to work with the DJI Vista will probably be okay on the O3 Air unit, is my opinion. All of the flight controllers I'm aware of that are designed for use with like the Vista, they'll use like a 2 amp 9 volt regulator, which is sufficient for the O3 Air unit. If somewhere out there was one with a 1.5 amp, that would be pretty close to the line. It would be better to have a higher output. But I think if you have a particular AIO flight controller in mind that you like to use, then you could just go for it. Do we have, on my website, on the shopping list, do we have flight controllers? Do we have all-in-one? I think, oh, this is actually, we got to pull that. Jeez, the iFlight Beast is not made anymore. They've moved to the Blitz. It is such a challenge keeping this site up to date, I swear to God. Okay, so that's a no-go. The GEP-RC F411, I guess, would be my pick. Only 2 available UARTs. That's tough. Also, what the hell is this? This Acon F7 all-in-one. I mean, that's a beast, but it's expensive as hell. We've got some choices here. I would say check out that link on my site and see if that information is useful to you. But any of those should work with the O3. The regulator should work. Paul Stevenson III wants to know, thank you for a $2 super chat, Paul. When will your build come out with the O3 air unit? So, Paul, I can show you. I want to show you guys a prototype, just so you know we're working on this. Hold on a second. I have to find the image. Where is... Huh. Is it in this stream? Yeah, okay. So this is... I'm about to show you a 3D printed prototype. It looks like shit because it's a prototype. This is not the final product. The final product will be made from metal and will be CNC, okay? Okay? Everybody understand that? Don't make me regret showing you an unfinished prototype. Okay, good. So this is what we're working on for the front end of the QAVS. It's going to be a drop-in replacement, so you will be able to buy it separately. So if you have an existing QAVS that you want to upgrade to the O3 Air unit, you will be able to just buy this part. I don't know what the final price is going to be. And you'll be able to just swap this out for your front standoffs. We also have an aluminum bracket for mounting the O3 Air unit. It's got a little bit of a spacing so that the wires can pass underneath. And a 3D printed adapter for the antenna. So that is in the works. And that is currently, I believe, in manufacturing and will be available soon. But all I can tell you is soon. I can't give you a date. Teaser. Thank you for being a patron, Teaser. What can cause errors in applying presets in Betaflight 4.3? I tried configurator 10.8 and 10.9. If I apply the Betaflight tuning defaults, I get errors. Several lines are marked in red. Why? Teaser, usually the reason for this is that you're applying a preset that was designed for Betaflight 4.3, but your flight controller is on Betaflight 4.2. You said you tried configurator 10.8 and 10.9. That doesn't matter. The red lines are because the flight controller Betaflight version, not the configurator version, is not happy with the things that you're giving it. So look at in the configurator screen. In the configurator screen, come on, baby. In the configurator screen, if you go to the presets tab, for any preset, you can see the firmware version it's designed for, 4.3. If you are not on that firmware version, you may get an error when you try to apply that preset. Now, sometimes it's okay. Oops, sorry, wrong scene. Sometimes it's okay to just go ahead and do it anyway. Like with my OSD presets, if you flash my OSD preset to 4.2, a couple of the lines will have an error, but everything basically works. But for something like RC Link preset, you got to be on the right version. Does screwing the camera directly to the standoff without a TPU mount introduce vibrations to the video? Asks One Eye FPV. One Eye, I don't know about that. I have not personally tested this. So I don't know the answer to that. We'll have to see. If it does become an issue, I could imagine doing modifications to it to introduce vibration isolation. I think it's going to depend heavily on the build, though. Edward, thank you for €2. What do you think of the SkyZone Sky 020? I don't know. Oh, shoot. Sky 020. Well, let's see. SkyZone Sky 020 is the cheapest OLED FPV goggle. So if you really want to know, I would say go back and watch my review of the 020. I'm not like, it sounds like I'm making a joke or I'm making fun of you, but actually I just don't remember what I said about those goggles back when I reviewed them, and it's been so long that I don't want to give you bad information by talking off the cuff. I know, right? Like, what did I have to say about them? No module bay. So they have the older SkyZone module. They're not going to have as good performance as a modern SkyZone goggle with the Ready Mix or Steady Mix receiver. Is it as good as Fusion and Rapid Fire? I don't think it is.
Which is the same goggle as the SkyZone Sky 04X, just the Eachine has lower resolution. In fact, they're even made in the same factory. They're literally the same goggle, just one has different screens than the other, and is sold as an Eachine versus a SkyZone. If you watch that review, then you know just how far SkyZone has come of their receiver modules. Has the same shell as the older Sky 02C
does it have the
goggles.
Ready Mix?
And you might wonder, does it sort of go back and give up some of those advantages? And I'm happy to say that the answer is mostly no.
Mostly?
The SkyZone Sky 020 has the same steady view receiver
that's good.
that is in the Eachine
See, I'm glad I
EV300L
checked.
and the SkyZone Sky 04X. And in case you missed it,
But has it been updated? See, it hasn't been updated to the new V33, which fixes the rolling image problem. So it still isn't quite as good and may have the rolling image problem. No module bay. It's got the newer buttons and menus. That's good. And the screen is not the best. Should you buy it? Well, that's all out-of-date information anyway. Yeah, so my take is if you're getting it at a good price, it might be okay, but you might have issues with rolling screen because of unless they've updated the receiver to the V33 module, which I doubt they have because I'm guessing I don't even know if they're still producing this goggle. But I'm guessing they haven't updated it because it's an older goggle. That's my take. Let's see here. Willpower FPV. Still trying to get caught up on these super chats. Willpower FPV says, have you heard of the Diamond board with ICM 42688 having a twitching gyro? No, not in general. Thank you for a $5 super chat, Willpower. I got a Mobeetle and it flies like poo. Tried all different firmwares, PIDs, etc. If you have a twitching gyro on a bind and fly out of the box, do everything you can to exchange it or return it. It's broken. And then sometimes you can't do that because the world we live in is the world we live in. And sometimes you just SOL depending on where you bought it. But if you get a new bind and fly and you take off and it goes tick, 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 it's busted. It shouldn't do that. It should just hover. So then if you do have to solve it, I mean, sometimes you've just got a bad gyro and there's nothing to do but replace the flight controller, at which point you damn well may as well replace the whole freaking quad. So, yeah. I haven't heard of a general widespread issue with that gyro, though. Siati, how about you, man? Any feedback on that? Siati flies a lot of whoops. Irazvan wants to know what's the best website to shop at in Europe. Well, if you go to searchfpv.com, we have a Europe preset with a whole bunch of stores that ship out of or into Europe. And you can find stuff what you need at any of those stores. Well, it's Europe/Asia. Okay. You can check the flags if you need to. Sunshine. Nice to see you again, Sunshine. Thank you so much for a $10 super chat. I can't search for your... Yes, I can. Fantastic. Sunshine says, I'm fat and pushing old fart status, but it's my birthday and I'm day drinking. Yeah! No questions unless you want to see my first 6-inch build I finally finished. Yeah, sure. Send it in, buddy. Absolutely. Peter Schmidt, thank you for 10. PLN. I feel like I should know this one by now. PLN is Polish zloty. What's the one I'm always confused about? Is it Hungarian florin? That's the one I always get wrong. Thank you for 10 Polish zloty. iFlight Taurus X8. Good for a beginner Cinelifter? Okay, so Peter... Cinelifters aren't for beginners. So let's assume that what you meant there is beginner Cinelifter, not beginner Cinelifter. If you're a beginner, don't fly a Cinelifter. There's too much money at stake. Now, is the iFlight Taurus X8 a good Cinelifter? Here's what I know. iFlight makes very good bind and flies. They put a huge amount of attention to detail into their designs. They have excellent quality control. Not perfect. Somewhere out there, someone's going, the hell they do. I bought an iFlight bind and fly and it had a problem. No one's perfect. But especially by the standards of FPV companies, iFlight is at the top. I don't know anything specifically about the iFlight Taurus Cinelifter to recommend it. Now, here's the thing. How many bind and fly Cinelifters can you even buy? A lot of people build their own. Catalyst Machine Works will probably sell you one. They have one. There aren't a lot of choices here. Lumineer will probably, Get FPV will probably sell you one. Let's just do a search here for Cinelifter. Can we search in bind and fly quadcopters? Ready to fly drones. iFlight Protect 60 Cinelifter. iFlight Taurus X8 Cinelifter. Taurus X8. Johnny FPV 8-inch. Lumineer QAV Pro. So you've got relatively few choices. And of many of the choices that you might pick, I think just based on iFlight's reputation, it might be a safe choice to pick the Taurus. But now I'm sure iFlight has more than one pro pilot flying this. I can't name a pro pilot who flies the Taurus. And that says something to me. I think the question is, if you're serious about using this on a job, then you should look at what other pro pilots whose work you like are using and figure out why they're using it. Is it because they're sponsored and they just use what their sponsor gives them? Or is there something about that makes it better for them? And I always hesitate to recommend Cinelifters and comment on Cinelifters because I know that when you're at the pro level, the reasons that you choose gear can be pretty subtle and non-obvious to people who are not at the pro level. And so I don't comment a lot. I mean, I look at it and I'll give you my opinion. But as far as saying, yes, buy this, go do work with it, I hesitate to do that because I'm not using Cinelifters in my day-to-day life to shoot footage. And so I look to the people who are and take their advice. For hobby stuff, I feel like I'm pretty authoritative on, I have my finger on the pulse of the hobbyist market. So based on, if you're just a hobbyist looking to try out a Cinelifter for fun, then I think you're probably going to do okay with something like the Taurus X8. The price isn't too bad, and iFlight generally doesn't make trash. They generally make pretty good stuff. But when you're at the pro level, there may be nuances to a pro level product that's used day in, day out to make money. And since I'm not sure there are very many pros out there doing that with the iFlight Taurus X8, if I'm wrong, tell me. Oh no, the Taurus X8 was used to shoot such and such a movie. Okay, I'll update my information. I don't know when Radio Master will start shipping Ranger modules. I don't know when Radio Master will start shipping the Boxer. I do know that there's a whole bunch of delays coming out of China right now on various things because of COVID shutdowns. This is not an invitation for you to start talking about COVID in the comments. I will turn this car around and go straight home. But I do know that is happening, and so a lot of stuff is delayed. I don't have a date for you. I don't know if they have a date. Chibi Kaiju says, dang, what makes those bind and flies so expensive? I mean, something like this is, I'm not going to do the math, but something on this is usually $800 to $1,000 in parts alone. Okay. And so then you double that for, I built you a quadcopter that you're going to put a $5,000 to $30,000 camera on. And I want to give you a good product. And that's the markup. That's just the pro markup. So, Mo FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Sorry to bug you again. No problem. Display is set to auto, but those options are not present. Okay, so Mo FPV, wait. OSD DisplayPort device is set to auto, but you don't see those options? I don't know how that's possible. Sorry, Mo. Mo, at this point, I think you got to email me, jb@joshuabardwell.com, please, and we'll talk about it. I'm gonna need to dig into it deeper. I don't know how the NTSC PAL options could not be there. I mean, like, here, okay, I thought of something. Do this, Mo. Maybe auto has screwed up somehow. Mo, do this. Why am I on the wrong screen? Thank you. Try this. Set OSD DisplayPort device equals max 7456. That's the correct OSD DisplayPort device for an analog quad. If we go to the OSD tab, now we have Auto, PAL, and NTSC. Now, if we go to the CLI and we set that to MSP, now they should be gone. Depending on which, I'm not sure which Betaflight version that kicked in. No, they're still there. Okay, so it's not 431. Well, Nikes. Hang on. 431, I really think 432, that's like the latest. Okay, hang on. Maybe it's not OSD DisplayPort device. Hold on, sit tight. The other one is DisplayPort MSP serial. Is that the one that turns it off? Maybe it doesn't activate until you change DisplayPort MSP serial. No, it's still there. Shut up. Oh no, it's gone. I'm sorry. That's the units. I'm sorry. I was not thinking. So it is gone. Hang on. Let me just double check this. So set the DisplayPort device back to max 776030, the analog. No, it's there. It's there. Okay. MSP DisplayPort serial equals -1. That turns that off. Okay, it's still there. And now we'll set MSP DisplayPort device to MSP, or OSD DisplayPort device to MSP. And it should be gone. Okay. So as far as I can tell, if OSD DisplayPort device is set to analog, then you should see that option. For some reason or another, auto, it must be giving you the wrong device. Try manually setting it to the max 7565 and see if that brings it back. Truth Productions, thank you for £1.79. Thank you for the donation. My baby Nano 2.0 ELRS analog has a constant red LED and is not connecting to Betaflight. Tried the boot button while powering up, but no luck. You may have a dead flight controller then, Truth. If you can't get it to connect in bootloader/DFU mode, 1IFPV, that's a good choice. 1IFPV has a great suggestion as well. Thank you for that. I had not thought of that, and that's worth doing. Another thing you can do in the CLI, you can manually force the video system in the CLI, even if the option is gone from the OSD. So you could type set VCD video system equals NTSC and save. That will do it even if you can't get it to appear. But if the OSD is not, if the flight controller is not correctly detecting the Max chip as the OSD device, that won't work. So that's actually the real issue. Okay. Red FPV says his OSD stuff might be off screen. Push stuff to the middle of the screen as a test. Valid, but I think he also said he didn't see the Betaflight startup screen, if I remember correctly. Photonese wants to know, if you're running DJI O3, is Tracer Express LRS even useful with the delays the video already has? Yes. In fact, I would argue that the higher latency your video link is, the more relevant it is to have a low latency control link. Latency is cumulative. In my opinion, round trip latency is cumulative. So if you have extra video latency, but you make that up with a reduced control link latency, that will cancel out. I think I disagree the exact opposite way from what you're proposing. Xscape X wants to know how to know when your quad is too heavy. So I'm going to give you the teach a man to fish answer. And I'm going to try to find this video. Yes, this is the video I'm looking for. Choosing the right prop diameter for a drone of a certain weight. Look at that handsome devil.
Hi there.
Hi there. Maybe it wasn't the best frame to freeze on. Here's a link to this video. In this video, I think you should watch the whole video, but if you can't be bothered, then what you need is this chart, which discusses prop loading for different prop sizes. And each line represents a different amount of prop loading, where prop loading is the weight of the quad relative to the disc area of the props. And this is one of the primary things that affects how a quadcopter flies. And it is the way to think about the weight of a quadcopter and what's a good weight. So this red line here is a prop loading of 4:1. And then this line, I'm covering it up with my title, unfortunately. 6:1, 8, 10, 12, and 14:1. We got prop diameter here, and we got the weight of the quad here. So a prop loading around 6:1 to around, let's say, 8 or maybe 10:1 is where you want to be for like a freestyle drone. Okay? An ultra light prop loading can make a quad floaty and can be undesirable, but might be better for like a racing drone. So you're going to say, okay, I've got a quad. It's got a 5-inch prop and it weighs 800 grams. So I'm going to start up here at 5-inch prop and I'm going to go over to 800 grams and I'm going to see that my prop loading is about 10 to 1. That's chonky for a 5-inch prop. That's like at the upper end of the maximum tolerable weight. And personally, I wouldn't want to fly that. My personal opinion is I'd like to be closer to like maybe a 9.5 or 9 to 1, maybe an 8.5. Okay? That's just from experience. So you're going to, that's what you do. You take your prop diameter, you take the weight of the quad, and you look at the prop loading. And for general use, I think a prop loading between about the green line and about the yellow line is what I would shoot for. All right? You can watch the whole video if you want more details about that, but that's the short answer. Willie FPV wants to know, do you still have to use Channel 5 Express LRS as a 2-position that must be assigned to ARM? Yes, Willie, yes. Express LRS, Channel 5, aux 1 is arming. Arming must be high. Disarm must be low. That is required. If you don't have it set up that way, you should rearrange your aux modes to allow for that. There are various things Express LRS does that depend on it knowing whether you're armed or not. Things like dynamic power automatically adjusts when you're armed or disarmed. But that's not the only thing. So you might say, well, I don't use dynamic power, so I don't care about that. There are other things it does, and you must do that. It is non-negotiable. You may be flying right now with ARM on some other aux channel, and you may be thinking, well, Express LRS works fine. I don't have any problems. You should rearrange it. You don't know what the possible outcomes might be or what problems you might be having. And sometimes people say, Express LRS, it fail-safed on me randomly. I have no idea why. And I wonder, did you have ARM on channel 5 with high equals armed as required? There's a lot of room for user error with Express LRS, unfortunately. That's just one of the drawbacks of Express LRS. Alex Lordach wants to know, does the TBS Tracer 69 connect to TBS Crossfire? No. Today's the day of people not knowing that Tracer and Crossfire don't bind together. That's like the 3rd time somebody's asked this question. Weird. Crossfire binds to Crossfire, Tracer binds to Tracer. They do not bind to each other. There is nothing that will bind to both. Clone Ranger asks, thank you, Clone Ranger, for a $5 super chat. Besides the NASA V2 and the Pixhawk, are there any others that I can buy that have waypoints, circle fly, etc. features? Yes. iNav. Look up iNav firmware. iNav will run on many Betaflight flight controllers and can do those things as well. Can other things be assigned to Channel 5 at the same time, or does it have to only be arming? Aber, as long as you understand that in Express LRS, Channel 5 is always 2-position only, and the high position must be armed, you can do whatever else you want with it that you want. Now, I don't know what that might be. Like, if you decided you wanted to manually put your VTX into and out of pit mode with an aux mode, and you put it on the arming switch, you could do that. If you wanted to turn your LEDs on, so you use the LED low mode and you tied that to channel 5. Yeah, as long as that arming condition is met, you can do whatever else you want. Black box, good. We are caught up on Super Chats. There's something I wanted to do. I thought would be fun to do on a live stream. Wait. I have to find the website. Is it this one? Have you guys seen these AI-generated conversations that are going around? Do I have a login? I think I have a login. Doesn't exist. F. I swear I made an account. Damn it. I'm trying to log in. You gonna let me use my Gmail address? Oh, well, I'm not using that password. Can I just auto-generate it? No, I don't want you to show the password on stream. Hold on. Okay. Is it chat.openai.com? Oh, no. That's the one I'm looking for. I knew I'd logged in here. Yes, this is the one I'm looking for. Thank you. I knew I'd done this before. Uh-huh. There you go. Have you guys seen this? Let's do some FPV AI generated chats. Okay? Let's see. How do I build an FPV drone? All right. Yeah, how fast does it come back? Oh. Okay. No. Oh. I'm going to see if this is going to put me out of a job. Not bad. Aber the Ham asks, the idea is to leave ARM on aux1, but split the higher range values within the armed range. Yeah, that would work. Just be sure you know what it considers high to be. Oh, I got to zoom out on it. Oh, that's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty generic. I don't think it's going to take my job. Okay. Irazvan wants to know, how do I set up beta flight pre-arm mode? All right, let's see if the AI can answer this question. Okay. Oh, shit. No, that's not right. That's wrong. Nope, that's wrong. I don't know if that's out-of-date information. That's right. Wait, no. That's all garbage. The specific steps are all wrong and garbage. The generic information about pre-arm mode is correct. This stuff here is completely wrong. Okay, I'm safe for now. Is that going to change the answer? This was trained on an older data set. And now it's going to give me the same answer. It's the same answer. Okay. All right, Betaflight 4.3 is too new. Alex Lordak wants to know, what 3-inch drone do you recommend? Interrupt, please. Willie, you are correct that the all modes 1 channel doesn't work as delivered with ExpressLRS. You need to have arming on aux1 and then all the other modes on like aux2. The serious answer to that, I would refer you to the sub 250 gram page on my website, fpvknowitall.com. And it has suggestions for some 3 and 3.5 inch bind and flies. Yeah, that's pretty vague. Maybe we should not be so specific. How about this? How about this? Tell me a story about Joshua Bardwell. One, I agree with you. Half the time the AI gives you bad, inaccurate, or incorrect information, but it sounds correct, which is dangerous if you know nothing about this topic. Joshua Bardwell is a well-known and respected figure in the FPV drone racing community. He is known for his in-depth knowledge of drone technology, his ability to help others learn and improve their skills. Well, I didn't say it. The AI did. One story that demonstrates Joshua Bardwell's expertise and passion for FPV drones involves his involvement in the development of a new flight controller. He was approached by... That is correct. He was approached by a manufacturer to help design and test a new flight controller. I don't know about like the most advanced and reliable on the market. That's a little bit... I think that's a little bit, marketing speak. He spent countless hours testing and tweaking, and we're in the world of fiction here, working closely to ensure that it met his high standards, conducted extensive flight tests. Finally, after months of hard work and dedication, it was ready for release and was met with wide... I see. Tell me a story about Bot Grinder. Got Bot Grinder's shirt on today. Thank you, Bob DePenta, for a $2 super chat. Bob Griffith, thank you for a $2 super chat. Do you know if HDLRC is still in business? No email replies. I don't know about that. The HDLRC manufactures the Recon line of drones, which is being actively produced. So I think they are still in business. Paul Stevenson III. Which mode should I go with? Air mode or acro? Asking because from Gepard, I see the Mark Bind and Fly Tune has air mode on. Seems like I fly with air mode on all the time. That model is currently overloaded with requests. I don't know what that means. Try again. Tom, thank you for a $5 super chat. Is the lower latency O3 is capable of perceptible to the average Joe switching from analog? Tom, the O3 has higher latency than the V2 system with Vista. Is it perceptible to the average Joe switching from analog? I think that depends a lot on the type of flying you're doing. If you're doing extreme, like precise racing, then yes, it is perceptible. If you're doing typical flying around stuff, it's less perceptible. Bot Grinder is a popular and successful drone pilot who has made a name for himself in the competitive world of drone racing. This is fiction. He is known for his lightning-fast reflexes and precise control of his drones, which allow him to navigate complex courses and outmaneuver his opponents with ease. One of his most memorable achievements came during a major drone racing event. Okay, now include references to weed. Oh, damn. Now include references. Now do it again, but this time Bot Grinder is vaping the whole time. Let's see if it'll talk about vaping. No, I know I asked for a story. I know. Oh, it's having to think hard this time. Ah, man. Okay, fine. Bot Grinder was the champion. do one more. We got 1 more minute in the stream. Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming at 3 p.m. Ciotti's posting the link to his stream, prepping for Cabo San Lucas. Ciotti's going to Cabo. Damn. So in just a minute after we read this one, I'll be going off the air. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for your support in the Discord as well, and just for being here. It's good to be back with you after a couple of weeks of not streaming. Let's see what we got here. After a long day of flying their FPV drones, Joshua Bardwell and Bachgrinder sat down to enjoy a well-deserved dinner. They had spent the day practicing their skills and testing out new equipment, and they were both feeling hungry and satisfied with their progress. As they ate, they talked about the latest developments in the drone racing community and shared their thoughts on the different techniques and strategies they've been using. Joshua, with his wealth of technical knowledge, offered insights and advice on how to optimize the drone's performance, while Bachgrinder shares his experience as a successful competitive pilot. After dinner, they continued their discussion. They were both passionate about drones. They retired to their respective homes. Okay. Now do it with Aaron Ciotti as a Pokemon Team Rocket style villain who tries to steal Joshua and Bachgrinder's quadcopters. Okay, this will be the last one, I promise. This will be the last one, I promise. If it gets this one, if it can figure out what Pokemon's Team Rocket style villain means, I will be so amazed. This is going to take a minute to think. Hopefully you're okay with me overrunning your time, Ciotti. Oh well, we'll have to wait for that one. What? Oh. Alrighty, guys. Well, I can't take any more of Ciotti's time. Oh, he says for this, I'll cancel my stream. Okay, I'll try one more time. Okay, then. Do it again, but with Aaron Ciotti as a Pokemon Team Rocket style villain who opposes Joshua and Bachgrinder. Let's see if it's okay with that. It's because I said steal. It's not going to do anything with the word steal. It doesn't want to risk, like, how do I steal the Hope Diamond or some BS, and then it tells you a plan. How do I, do something illegal? Okay. Oh, I can't wait. As Joshua Bardwell and Bachgrinder flew their FPV drones around a nearby park, they were suddenly confronted by a group of individuals led by a man named Aaron Ciotti. Aaron was known in the drone community as a competitive pilot with a fierce rivalry with Joshua and Bachgrinder, and he had a reputation for using underhanded tactics to gain an advantage in races. Aaron and his team, dressed in the style of the infamous Team Rocket from the Pokemon series, approached Joshua and Bachgrinder and demanded that they hand over their quadcopters. JB and Bachgrinder refused, determined to defend their property and their right to fly. Aaron and his team responded with threats and intimidation, but JB and Bachgrinder stood their ground. They knew they were no match for Ciotti and his team in a physical confrontation, so they decided to outsmart them instead. Using their quick thinking and flying skills, JB and Bachgrinder were able to outmaneuver Ciotti and his team and make a quick escape, leaving them frustrated and empty-handed. As they flew away to safety, JB and Bachgrinder vowed to continue flying and practicing their skills, undeterred by the threats and intimidation of those like Ciotti who opposed them. All right, that's it. I can't imagine a better note to end on. Have a great stream, Ciotti. Thank you, guys. I'll see you tomorrow for the live stream at 8.